name is Alicia Shapiro with AInews.com, and welcome to another episode of our Driving Tomorrow Conversations with Industry Leaders, where we explore the latest developments and newest innovations in the world of artificial intelligence. Today, I'm excited to be speaking with Chris Porteous, the co founder of SearchEye, a transformative platform that is reshaping the landscape of public relations. With the mission to democratize access to world-class media opportunities, SearchEye connects brands with top publishers through a seamless, data-driven marketplace. By leveraging cutting-edge technology, the platform creates authentic, organic collaborations that enhance visibility, credibility, and brand recognition. Under Chris's leadership, SearchEye has achieved remarkable success, including raising a seed round, growing a global team of over 50 talented professionals, and partnering with major players like Nasdaq, Vimeo, and AT&T. In today's interview, we'll explore how SearchEye is breaking down traditional barriers in PR, the role of AI in streamlining media connections, and Chris's vision for the future of brand and publisher collaborations. Thank you for joining us today, Chris.
Thanks for having me.
Oh, absolutely. I'm glad to have you here. I'm looking forward to our talk today.
Yeah, looking forward to get started.
Great. For those who are unfamiliar with SearchEye, can you walk us through how the platform connects brands and publishers and what makes that so seamless and effective?
Yeah, absolutely. I'll give you a bit of a roundabout answer to that.
Cool.
Previous to SearchEye, we were a full service marketing agency. Our name was My SEO Sucks.
Mm,
So SEO was in the name there. And we had quite a few PR, reputation management clients, as well as SEO clients.
mhm,
The toughest and probably the most tedious part of running the agency was helping these clients get in the media,
mhm,
whether it was for PR or even SEO. We had these relationships, but they were fleeting.
mhm.
And so we invested in tech to help streamline this for our agency. Now, fast forward, that tech has turned into a full-fledged platform, SearchEye. And rather than us work with publications or brands directly, each side can come on to the platform and work with each other. For example, publishers set their collaboration requirements. So these are the types of brands that they want to work with. And then as a brand, they're only going to see the publications that want to work with them.
Mm.
And so SearchEye handles all the plumbing in between, the pitch, the content, the payouts, the back and forth, and everything else. So what we're trying to do is make it really easy for a brand and publisher to say, okay, yep, we like this. And then from there, we handle the rest.
Nice. I love that. It is very easy. It's awesome. And because SearchEye is revolutionizing the PR industry, can you share how your approach to democratizing connections between brands and publishers is different from traditional PR models?
Absolutely. So as a publisher, we've always felt they've gotten the short end of the stick.
Mm,
PR agencies and brands want essentially this, like they want the world. They want a full positive, full feature. They want to review it. They also don't want to pay for it. They're
mhm,
looking for free media, and that's how people generally see PR. Whereas a publisher wants something completely different. They want something that's not promotional and really great educational content for their readers.
mhm,
Now, these two goals rarely overlap, or there's just a very sliver of overlapping between the two of them.
mhm.
And so what we've done is build a model where we help build those guardrails for both the publisher and brand.
Oh,
So essentially, finding a mutual beneficial middle point that works for both sides. These publisher relationships have also been gatekept by PR agencies.
mm,
And so we're allowing these same publications to come on to SearchEye and receive requests from only the right brands that fit with their requirements versus a PR firm is just going to pitch their client, regardless of if it makes sense,
mhm.
to those same publishers and basically give nothing in return.
Yeah.
So in this world, publishers get really great sources and can be financially compensated, while brands can request to work with publishers that they know are interested in them. So they don't have to sort through thousands of publishers. Here's a list. It's all sorted by data. It's matched by relevance. So it's one click for the brands. And the publishers are getting some really great content so they can scale faster as well.
Mhm. I like that a lot because I've been getting so many emails from PR professionals. Oh, you might be interested in this. You might be interested in that. And I'm like, what's it have to do with AI? Because, we are just specifically AI news. We don't produce anything about other tech news or anything. And so I'm like, sorry, it's not a fit, where your platform would solve that. That's amazing.
Exactly. So I'll obviously pitch you after the call to join SearchEye.
Sure.
But yeah, imagine AI News is on the platform and you're selecting, I only want to work with, you can put tags in, I only want to work with companies associated with AI,
Mhm.
or maybe it's thought leaders that are in the AI space. So you can really customize that. So when you do get requests, it's all double opt-in, so you can still reject,
That's
but you'll get requests that are much more targeted.
hmm
And that generally we find eliminates 90 to 95% of the noise
Yeah.
that you get. So you get less requests, but they're going to be much more thoughtful and targeted. And it's going to save you time. It's going to save the brand time. It's a
Right.
win.
Yeah, totally. I love that. And I'm sure you get a lot of people assuming that SearchEye is an SEO company, but that's not the case. So your platform is focused on creating organic connections between brands and publishers, like we've been talking about. Can you explain how SearchEye differs from traditional SEO services and why that distinction is so important?
For sure. People don't really realize how big SEO is. I think Google's revenues from AdWords alone are north of $200 billion.
Wow.
And that only accounts for the AdWords traffic accounts for roughly 5% of total traffic
hmm
to these sites. So you think 95% of that traffic is basically call it SEO. And now that number is changing a bit with AI overviews and other things, but generally speaking, the majority of traffic is from organic search.
hmm
And so it's just such a massive space. We're talking about hundreds of billions of searches.
Yeah.
It's massive. So when people come to us, they're looking for every single advantage they can get from an SEO perspective,
hmm
whether that's hiring PR agencies, whether that's hiring marketing firms, getting onto certain publications, anything that'll give them an edge. And so even though we've tried to really focus our platform around creating authentic, organic connections between brands and publishers, I think a lot of people see us as, wow, this is a really great opportunity for us to scale and stay ahead of the competition.
hmm
And so part of what we're doing is, yeah, there is going to be that SEO benefit, but we see like really great content not only drives brand authority, but it sits online for the world to see. Imagine you create a really great piece of content around best Google Maps API alternatives on an authoritative tech site. This article is going to get promoted on social. It's going to sit online. It's going to be found via search engines and other avenues. People might reference it, source it. So that article, regardless of the SEO benefit to the brand, is going to have value on
hmm
its own.
Yeah.
So what we want to get better at is how do we allow a piece of content to benefit the brand in multiple ways? And so right now people see us as, oh, this is a SEO benefit, this is great. But we're starting to explore ways where the brand can see, for example, who has viewed their content.
Oh.
So imagine you had this listicle around best Google Maps API alternatives on HubSpot.com. Someone views that content and you're notified that this person viewed their content. Here's their LinkedIn, here's their email. You can actually reach out to them. And even using it as a way for like analytics, like what type of people are viewing our content on third-party sites. So we're trying to add more analytics, more tracking, more lead gen exposure. So people see this as not just the search benefit, but how can I turn PR into a lead gen channel for our business?
Yeah. I think that's a fabulous way to approach it because even in social media, a lot of people think social media is SEO, and it does have a, like you said, with Search Eye, it has a SEO implication, but it's not really SEO. So yeah, I understand that how people could just assume that, oh, it's SEO. Not really, but yeah, it helps, but it doesn't.
Exactly. And
Yeah.
we get those kind of inquiries from agencies and clients all the time. They'd ask us like, hey, we want to do this on social. Is this good for SEO? And
Mm,
it seems companies are generally anchoring towards, because of the importance, the size, the scale of it,
yeah.
how can we get that edge in SEO? And I think by default, that's how people see us and that's how people approach things, which I think is good. But I think taking a more multifaceted marketing approach, and it's not, it's just good for SEO, but how's this good for the business?
Right. And your platform helps accelerate the content creation process from sometimes over a month to a single day. What role does AI play in making this possible while maintaining high quality, non generic content?
Yeah, I think right now, AI itself isn't enterprise grade. I know Apple just recently with Apple Intelligence, people say they were slow to it, but I think given the scale, they need to be perfectionists when it comes to the implementation.
Yeah.
Because we've seen in the early days when Google implemented with Bard, it's a horrible name, but there were these like health articles promoting incorrect health information.
Wow.
There is a lot of risk there.
Hmm.
And so why I say that is I think generally the way AI in the early days and even now is being used, it's really around prompt engineering. And it's not AI in a sense, it's like an LLM. I picture almost like machine learning, but on a massive scale. Obviously some differences there, but so like people see it as even consumers, even entrepreneurs, is here's a prompt.
Mm.
Hey, we're using AI in our process.
Yeah.
And that's not right. That's an AI wrapper. That's completely different. And they'll eventually be put out of business as OpenAI and these other kind of platforms launch new tools and things like that. And so right now, like us as a company, we're focused on AI process automation. So we have anywhere from the process and order. If we look at the entire flow from brand coming on, finding the right publication, placing that request, working with the publisher, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, there's something like 175 potential touch points. And so each one of those in our early days, maybe 5 or 10 of those were through product or process
Hmm.
when AI itself wasn't advanced enough. And so what we're finding now is we looked at each one of those and can we streamline this specific process with AI? So can we plug in an LLM into this specific process to generate the outcome?
Hmm.
So could we generate a pitch? Or it could be even smaller than that. It's pull some research from here and provide that to the writer. So we looked at it as very bite-sized parts.
Hmm.
And so now even if you look at our like our content models or pitch models, our content model has over 1,200 modules, with about 30% of those a combination of like fine-tuned models, OpenAI, Gemini, Perplexity, and connects to 22 different APIs plus multiple scrapers. So it's a quite a complex process. So why I say that is I think people usually jump in and say, okay, this is an AI problem. We need AI for this.
Mm.
But really, it's like understanding the process, having humans do it, and then how do you look at each step of the process and how can you replace parts of that with AI? And so what we found is it's not necessarily cheaper than people, even our cost to produce a content with all these data sources, we might be still at $20, $30 an article.
Hmm.
But the quality that we get from it and the leverage in terms of speed, there's just so much data in it that a traditional content writer may spend days to
Wow.
try to create something similar. So I oftentimes, I know we're getting a bit off track here, but it's not about the price. It's not necessarily about even completely automating something, but just looking at the entire process and what can you replace there. And then over time, this content process took us years to develop, and we kept on putting more different AI into the flows.
Hmm.
And now we're fully automated.
That's awesome. Yeah, and it does speed up everything. I know when I use ChatGPT in my news writing, I can put a full comprehensive article together in a couple of hours where it would normally take me all day to just do one article. Yeah, that's amazing. And I think it's just as well written as the human. I think ChatGPT and Claude, they've gotten so much better since their initial releases, and it's harder to spot when AI writes something now. And I think that's fabulous. I think that's great. I think it helps get that generic idea that, oh, this is generic content. This is garbage content. Maybe not.
Yeah, I think it's generally how people use it. And what is your edge, right? If you're
Mhm.
just using LLMs to create content, there's no edge there. That's just prompt
Yeah,
engineering, and you're gonna get the same content. There's no value add there. But
that's true.
let's say you did a research study, you interviewed 3,000 people, and you have this really good data source or data set, and you plug that into now this LLM to
Right.
create the content. Now you have something really unique and it's saving you time. And it's also adding value to the reader. Now there's data incorporated into it. It's just a much better output. So part of how we think about it is how can we leverage our proprietary data? How can we connect with many APIs to the point we can output something that an LLM on its own cannot?
That's true. And your website talks about decentralizing the influencer process and moving beyond platforms like TikTok and Instagram. How does SearchEye enable creators and brands to collaborate more authentically and efficiently outside those traditional channels?
Yeah, I think as a creator, we're seeing them work more and more inside walled gardens. We're seeing creators who
Okay.
only work on TikTok or work on Instagram or YouTube or whatever it is. And so even right now, I don't think we've done a good enough job to empower them, but ultimately, how can we help them create more content for their own and help them own their own audience?
Uh,
So imagine you're a creator. It shouldn't matter if TikTok maybe it doesn't sell and it gets banned. It shouldn't matter if Instagram, goes under or there's an algorithm update. How can you work cross platforms as well as own your own audience? So one of the things we're doing on the education side is right now we're creating content for websites and we look at the current content they have on our site and we have a full process for that. But we're trying to help educate creators to own their own audience, build distribution through could be simple as like text messages, WhatsApp groups, Slack, email, and where their businesses aren't at the whims of specific platform algo updates.
yeah.
And what that means for both the creator, us, and the brand is as a creator, you can actually, what we're working on right now is through SearchEye, you can say, I have this WhatsApp audience, or I have this audience on text messages, and these are my analytics, this is my data. Our goal is to help put brands where there's an audience.
Hmm.
And at the same time, we want to also help empower creators to build those audiences, and we act as a way to monetize that for them. So they can focus on building up their audience, building up distribution, creating content, do what they're good at, and we can help on the monetization side.
That's amazing because it is so important, especially in today's world, to own your own audience. Because social media is just rented platforms. You're just renting a space. And if, like you said, if TikTok does get banned or goes under, or like you said, Instagram updates their algorithm and they don't get as much reach, it's so important to be able to have a platform where you get to own your own audience and still have connections with them outside those platforms. So that's a great idea. I love that.
I appreciate it.
And you've worked with startups and Fortune 100 companies alike. How does your platform cater to the unique needs of both the small emerging brands and large established companies?
When we originally built SearchEye, we designed it for smaller brands. So we wanted to essentially offer a solution where smaller brands could compete with large budgeted Fortune 100 companies. And that we found as we automated the platform aggressively, built tooling to replace the traditional agency or a freelancer that you might be working with, we end up being much more cost effective,
Hmm.
as well as we had larger access and better publication. So we ended up naturally attracting both sides of the market. So one of the kind of, I think, challenges now that we still have is around our ICP. We designed this platform for smaller brands to help them scale. But enterprises continue to come to us and want to work with us, which we don't necessarily have the right account management systems in place there, the right overhead and systems to help handle those.
Mhm.
So we're still really trying to figure out the direction there. But ultimately, if we look at our mission and vision, it's really about empowering and democratizing marketing.
Mhm.
We want to give the same opportunities for everyone, whether it's a creator versus a large publisher. In terms of monetization, we're looking at not who the publisher is, but what can they offer. So a
Mhm.
creator might have a similar size audience, a similar target, but not the same name recognition as, let's say, Forbes or
Mhm.
NASDAQ or something like that. But we still think the value is there and they should be compensated at the same level. So we're trying to really figure out how can we compensate based on merit versus maybe brand. And that ultimately helps creators create amazing content and grow because they
Mhm.
can have budgets now to compete with the larger publishers. And then on the brand side, how do we do the same where we've right priced everything, every opportunity. So the brand, for every dollar they spend on the platform, they know it's going to be efficient regardless of if they pick this publication or that publication. So we ultimately see all sides of the market come to the platform, but we're really trying to narrow in on how our mission, which is how do we democratize this and make it available to everyone, which generally leans towards the SMBs and then creators on the other side.
Yeah, that's great. I love that. And SearchEye, as it expands into social media and other media types, what excites you the most about the potential for connecting brands and creators in new innovative ways?
Yeah, I'm really curious to see what happens in the future, especially with AI. We're
Mm.
seeing more video content produced with AI. Part of me worries that will we see something similar to ChatGPT or Google AI overviews
Mm.
in TikTok where you're scrolling and TikTok is auto-generating videos for you to view. and it usurps or replaces the creator.
Yeah.
I think that's still a long way, and I think that what creators can add is that creativity.
Mhm.
So that may or may not happen, but for me, what really gets me excited in both those situations is how can SearchEye integrate into that process. So you imagine you're crafting. Imagine we're doing this podcast right now,
Mhm.
and SearchEye is recommending in real time to incorporate this brand into your content. So it's this direct brand integration into the content production process. So it feels very seamless and natural. We use this example, and something that we explored earlier was with Shopify. Imagine you're creating some content around, I don't know, food or recipes, and you talk about Coca-Cola, and a little pop-up comes up and says, "Hey, do you want to talk about Pepsi instead and earn
Mhm.
$500 or something like that?"
Wow.
And so you have the choice to like opt in, opt out. It's not in your face. But how can we help creators while they're creating this content incorporate brands? And it also helps fund them. It helps them create better content. It helps de-risk
Yeah.
what they're doing as well. So working through like how can we integrate SearchEye into the process versus we're this kind of add-on piece to what they're already doing.
Mhm. That's so cool. Yeah, that would be neat. You get new pop-ups of different things right on as you're talking. That'd be amazing.
Yeah, you imagine you're just talking, you're like Coca-Cola, and it just like beeps and it says Pepsi or something like that. Maybe that's going too far, but it'd be entertaining
It'd be
nonetheless.
like, would you rather have Pepsi instead?
Yeah,
Like the
reverses.
restaurants?
Exactly. Yeah, exactly.
That's fun. And before we wrap up, I'd like to ask a couple of lighter questions so our audience can get to know you a little better. When you do step away from your work, what are some activities or hobbies that you're passionate about?
We just had a baby recently, which
Oh,
is
congratulations.
exciting. Oh, thank you. So spending quite a bit of time with him.
Mhm.
My wife and I like love to travel. For a honeymoon, did a safari, which was super exciting. Seeing elephants come up to your vehicles and giraffes chasing you is a surreal experience. It
That
was amazing. We got engaged in Japan, and we're heading to Greece for our first trip with the little one later this summer. So that's a big thing for both myself and my wife. But on the more personal side, outside of travel, trying to bike as much as possible. My goal this year is to read one book a week. I've already fallen behind, and it's working through that right now.
hmm
But yeah, and then in terms of sports, you'll play tennis, have a pickleball tournament this weekend. So
fun.
where I spend a lot of my time.
Nice. I like that. And what piece of advice would you give to entrepreneurs looking to leverage AI and marketplaces to solve real world problems while scaling their businesses effectively?
Yeah, I think I mentioned earlier where people see AI potentially as a way, how do I automate the entire process? Maybe it's just with a simple prompt. And so I would like to see people think about AI a lot differently
Mm,
and see it, how does it handle micro processes?
okay.
So treating AI as I want to solve this one, could be a small problem, it doesn't need to be a large problem. But how do I solve this one problem? It could be how do I consistently send an email around this topic to someone? Or how do I show this specific piece of information? Maybe it's I want to see what the, I don't know, news in a specific industry is in the morning. Something you can solve with kind of a small prompt versus a larger problem, which is going to require not just prompts or AI, but it's going to require a process. So if you can automate the small workflows, and then over time, as you build the infrastructure support hundreds of these workflows or even more, think about that in terms of building a product and building a business.
I think that's great advice too, because I would think you wouldn't get as much sense of overwhelm if you're just trying to put AI into a system. And if you don't start small and start at the ground level, I don't know. Boy, that would just be so difficult compared to doing what you
It
suggested.
takes time, even like with the content processes, how we operated. Like we
Mhm.
started off saying the writers were doing a lot of research. Okay, let's spend a few weeks building the right process to handle the research for them.
Yeah.
And they can still proof and all that. And then, okay, how do we now use AI to proof that? And that might not be with AI, it could be different data sources and how do we build that in? So it takes time
hmm
to solve one problem at a time. And then over time, you end up with this kind of agentified system
Yeah,
that can handle everything.
that's awesome. Thank you so much, Chris, for joining us today and sharing your insights. It's been a real pleasure talking with you and learning more about your work at Search. I think it's going to be fabulous and wish you the best with that.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me today, Alicia.
Yeah. And to learn more about SearchEye, you can visit their website at searcheye.io. Keeping you connected to tomorrow. Today, this is Alicia with AInews.com.